Hello YouTube! Another video by Everyday Oppression. Yay! Sorry it's been so long. First I want to apologize for that because I have been quite busy in my personal life right now. Basically what happened was I went to Cancun, Mexico with my BF to spend a week there. This was our first vacation together, and good news is that we didn't kill each other.
Whatever.
Cool.
Basically drinking our faces off, getting some sun. As you can see, I slightly got burnt. You can see the farmer's tan started right there, and especially in my face.
It's hot.
Besides that fact, I got back and I'm basically trying to reorganize my life, get gifts sent out for friends and family, and get back into the flow of things. There's a few videos that I want to get caught up on. Sadly, this video is not going to be any one of those. And I'm actually going to do a video in response to a buddy of mine named Nick. Nick here lives in Edmonton, same city as me, and we've met a few times in men's rights circles or anti-feminist circles. So obviously with my channel, you guys know that I don't follow feminism. I argue against feminists and their ideology quite often. Nick made a video on the channel Non-Humanitarian Anti-Feminism. This one is called at Anti-Fem Praxis. Basically, he's starting a website, which I'll leave links and descriptions in the low bar, in my crotch. So basically, he is asking a lot of people who identify as anti-feminist or non-feminist some questions, which I'm going to tackle today. He basically wants people to do responses to these questions or responses to other YouTubers and their responses. So I'm just going to answer his questions and do a straight on kind of thing. Sorry if I look sweaty because it's hot as balls in here. My loft, there's barely any air circulation at all, so if I look red in the face, I do identify as a tomato. So word of warning. Let's just dive right in here for his three main questions. 1. What is feminism? So I'm going to start things off. Obviously, most people understand what feminism is. It is a political, social, and economic ideology focused on the uplifting of women and women's rights here in Western society and all across the world. When I first got introduced to feminism, I was in college, and I supported feminism, strictly speaking, because my female friends identified as feminists. I took a women's studies course, I took a few sociology courses, and I pretty much learned about feminism and the history of feminism and how to apply it in real life situations from college. The way I describe it was I was drinking the Kool-Aid alongside my girlfriends.
Oh yeah!
And it wasn't until a few years after I graduated where I started seeing feminism applied in real life situations. Except it wasn't going as planned. So what I had learned in college was not being portrayed in real life. I actually got talked down to and shamed, attacked by some of my feminist friends who I supported all throughout my college years.
No! Oh yeah!
What is feminism? Feminism is an ideology that I think is a victimhood narrative. So my stance with this now is that I oppose this narrative because it is one of victimhood, one of shaming, placing the blame on somebody else for your own situation, for your own problems. I find that a lot of young women, roughly between the ages of pre-teens to maybe 30s, they are brainwashed into thinking that they are automatically a victim simply because of their gender. This is simply not the case. I disagree with this narrative. And men are brainwashed into thinking that they are at fault for everything bad in the world. This also is very, very ridiculous as an argument. So feminism to me weakens people. And I want to empower people, both men and women, boys and girls, and bring out what's best in them. And I find that feminism doesn't do that. It halters the potential of women by placing them in this victim category, and it hinders the potential and strength of men by placing them in the oppressor category. So it's a victimhood narrative, and I want people to be empowered, but I also want them to be led by their brains, aka objectifiable truth, logic, and feminism doesn't do that. So it just doesn't do that. I want women to be strong and independent and empowered, and I want men to understand that it is okay to appear effeminate or weak or, show your emotions, yes, but don't go overboard, okay? Let's not go there. That is feminism to me. Currently, it is a victimhood narrative, and I want people to not be victims, especially when they have nothing to really be victimized about. So this case of microaggressions or being offended should be a crime. Getting your feelings hurt, right? So like your feelings do not trump facts. I think that, yes, I get offended too sometimes. That's got to be the case, whatever. But my feelings are not more important than the next person's rights. Human rights, rights of freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and so on and so on. Question number 2. Where do non-feminist people stand? This is a very interesting question to me because I actually classify people who are not feminists in 2 categories. 1 being anti-feminist and 2 being non-feminist. So I'm just quickly going to go pull up the Merriam-Webster's dictionaries for the words anti as well as non. For non is a prefix, basically saying not, other than, reverse of, absence of, or of little or no consequence, or unimportant, worthless, non-issues, non-system. And 3, lacking the usual, especially positive characteristics of the thing specified. All right, and now for the anti. Anti is a noun, which is plural antis, one that is opposed. The group was divided into pros and antis. So bearing this in mind, I think I'm going to do a future video in regards to whether or not I label as fully anti-feminist or non-feminist. I definitely am not a feminist, but it varies between non and anti. The way I could describe it is that an anti-feminist is completely against feminism. They are against this ideology, and they will work themselves or be activists towards destroying it, basically.
I will destroy you!
Whereas a non-feminist person usually just doesn't really care.
Honey Badger don't care. Honey Badger don't give a shit. You think the Honey Badger cares? It doesn't give a shit.
They disagree with it, but they're less likely to participate in canceling it out or challenging it in both online and in real life. So I'll leave that for another video on another day. So where do non-feminist people stand? I honestly think there's a lot more non-feminist people than there are feminist people. I find that a lot of people who label as feminists do so in order to make themselves feel good or in order to go with the flow and the crowd. So they're just along for the ride, basically. So non-feminist people have more of a stance and a firm belief system in being anti or non-feminist. That's about it. I think I can answer for that question for the time being. All right, and third and last important question is, what is to be done? So in this regards, I think what is to be done with people in real life and how we solve the issues of feminism. What I believe should be done is tackle feminists head on, but with a smart head, using statistics and logic. Try to keep the trolling and the hate down to a bare minimum, because I find that if you lead in with aggression or with the intent to just be a shit disturber, a lot of naive feminists will just get completely turned off. So it's kind of counterproductive to your argument and the case for you to end feminism. I suffer from this on Facebook. I do tend to be very outgoing and straightforward. I don't really care about people's feelings as much when it comes to facts and logic. So I tend to be a little bit of an asshole. let's be honest here. It is a bit fun, I will admit, to be right in an argument and debate. When it comes to debating, the best thing one can do is stick to the facts, stick to the argument. A lot of people deviate away from talking about the topic and instead talk about the person that they're discussing with. For instance, if I'm discussing something such as the gender wage gap, I'm bringing up statistics. The common sense of basic economics is that wages are different from earnings, and then you go from there. Whereas a feminist might say,
well, you're just a misogynistic asshole, and you're sexist because you don't think women belong in the workforce.
So do you see how that is? I'm tackling the topic being gender wage gap and why is it a myth, versus the feminist who is attacking me for disagreeing with her. So what is to be done in debate? Be logical, be civil as much as you can, right? And in real world, I think Nick has a point here, is that we need to start meeting up in real life, having casual get-togethers, have a couple of beers, and basically discuss these issues and how we can make it work. I find the biggest obstacle is in education. So we see a lot of feminist theories and ideologies that are being placed into liberal arts colleges, sociology classes, and women's studies without equal representation of men's studies. So it's very one-sided. So we need to battle these instructors, these professors who are very liberal-minded, who fall back on feminism as their be-all and end-all to describe why the world works. The youth is what is influencing this drive for feminism. Pop culture is doing it. The mainstream media obviously has their narrative that they want to construct. But I find that the most prominent course of action we could do is teaching people, is discussing these issues with them, and to do so in a college scene. College is failing our youth. Like, they're going in and then coming out dumber than when they first entered. So that is important to me. Another solution I have is that we need to rebuild the family unit. Now, I have a stable family unit. I am the product of a nuclear family back in the 90s, where I have a mother and a father and a sister and me. So this was deemed the nuclear family. My parents have been married for well over 30 years, and they're still in love with each other. I have a great relationship with them. So too with my sister and my beautiful nieces. This to me is very important. The family unit must be supported and protected. I find that families have been torn apart. Divorce rates are high in North America. Fathers are being pushed away and out of their child's lives. How bad is that? So divorce rates are high. Fathers are being pushed out. There's no positive masculinity in the lives of children. We are seeing them being raised by mothers. So femininity is uplifted as good, and masculinity is brought down and told that they're evil. So we need to rebuild these family units in order to raise smart children who are not spoiled, and strong family units. So that's pretty much what I think in regards to solutions. Tackle feminism in its own academic environment, shut it down in colleges, influence the youth, because the youth is what shapes our future generations, as well as save the family unit. So we need to do this in order to squash feminism. And I say this because I am done with it. I am done with their victimhood. I am done with their complaining. And I'm done with the hypocrisy and the falsehoods and how they categorize people based off these superficial things, such as me for being an LGBT member. I'm bisexual, but that's not the only thing that identifies me. I am so much more than who I sleep with. So there's that. Sorry guys again for the lack of video making. I promise I will get some out here pretty quick. I just need to better organize my life. If you want to add to this discussion, please leave a comment, like my video, and share it. If you do want to do a video response to what I've said, by all means, just tag me and contact me so that I can watch it and engage with you guys even more. So until then, I say this every time. Take care of one another. Bye, guys.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
feel broke, like I'm half of a